Has your rent in Australia doubled over the last 2 years? Are you struggling with paying someone else's mortgage? Would you like to be paying your own, actually have your own property to call your home? Well, learning about the awful mistakes people often make when it comes to finance, providing some tips on how to potentially put money aside for a down payment and what people can actually borrow is what we're here for as mortgage brokers. So in this video, I'm going to break down the key mistakes and the solutions when it comes to owning your own home. In this video, we're going to cover the top 5 things you need to know when purchasing your first home. First and foremost, we're going to talk about your borrowing capacity and how much you can actually borrow. Secondly, we're going to look towards government grants and what you can actually get for support. Thirdly, I want to talk about your deposit and how much you need and what your deposit should really look like. Fourth is uncovering your needs of a particular property and being there in the future when you require restructuring. And lastly, fifth, we're going to talk about settlement and the important things you've got to know when settling for your first home. So let's jump straight into borrowing and how much you can actually borrow. So don't go to realestate.com or Domain first. It's not going to help. More importantly, you're going to find these extremely expensive properties thinking, oh, this is fantastic, and you're not going to be able to afford them. So you may think it's also doom and gloom. If you're on probation because you've just got this great new job, maybe you're self-employed and you're starting your own business, congratulations if you are, or maybe you even have a small deposit. Don't worry, we can use all of these. And by using all these, we're going to get you assessed. So what do we need for assessment? We need some bank statements. We're going to need your pay slips. We're going to need your income, but also we've got to know about your liabilities. So HECS debts if you've studied, if you've got Afterpay, credit cards, a personal loan, a car loan here as well, we need to see it all so we can accurately assess how much you can borrow. Don't go to a lender because they're going to be very limited in the scope they can really offer you. More importantly, every time a lender assesses you, it's going to be a slash against your credit file, which does damage you when it comes to borrowing. So what you can do is actually go to a broker. We don't do a credit file check or a slash against it when we have a look at your borrowing capacity. We can assess you at more places because we have the best interest duty for you to get the right product possible, while a lender really doesn't need to do so. Because as brokers, we have a best interest duty, we're going to find you the most suitable product for you, fitting your personal needs and hopefully getting you the home of your dream. So step 3, we're going to talk about your deposit now and how much you really need. You don't really need a large deposit to purchase a first home. However, ladies and gentlemen, size does matter when it comes to a deposit. Saying that, the bigger the deposit you have, the more doors you're able to open when it comes to buying your first home.
Based on a scenario where, say you just got a little bit of funds in your savings at the moment and you want to get into the property market. Now, you only may have about 5% of the purchase, including fees, and you're looking to get into that property market, you can apply for what's called the First Home Guarantee Scheme here in Australia. What that means is that you only need the 5% plus the extra money to cover the fees to borrow a home here. With some lenders, they actually allow for such products.
However, how much that 5% is can be 40 grand versus 200 grand, depending on the home that you're after. Now, if you're struggling with the deposit and you don't have the largest one available, what you can also look to is a parental guarantee. Now, what the parental guarantee means, if you've got some wonderful parents who are going to be very generous, so ask nicely, that are going to use their property as a security to help you purchase your first home. Also, we need to know if waiting to save up a bit more of a deposit is necessary or buy right now. Now, waiting is a good option. More money means you can open more doors, like I said. However, you may be missing out on certain opportunities if you don't buy today. This is why talking to your broker is important. We can find you lenders that give you better options, either if you've got to wait right now or if you can purchase. Talk to your broker still to see if there may be other options. Like I said, the parental guarantee is out there. However, you may need to wait a little bit longer, save a bit harder, and then you'll be able to buy your first home. Number 4, what to actually buy. Now let's talk about a recent experience that we've seen from one particular client case study. Note that this may not be applicable to everyone though. This young couple bought a house in Manly, great location in Sydney because that's what they could afford at the time. Now they bought a 1-bedroom studio. However, 2 years down the track, they wanted to start a family and they just don't have the space. Now, Manly and Sydney is a great investment choice. They chose a fantastic area to purchase. However, they only got a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, here's a golden tip for you. 1-bedrooms and studio apartments don't typically go. No matter how fantastic the location is, we're gonna see a loss most likely. And in this case, that ended up happening. Now, this couple, they wanted to start a family and they just didn't have the space. So they looked to sell. While the rest of Manly grew, sadly, their place didn't. So they ended up selling for a loss and had to move way further out. Now, here's the next golden tip for you. Buy for what you need now, but more importantly, buy for the future. Property is not a short-term investment. Think 5 to 10 years down the line. What are you gonna need? What's the space you're gonna need? If something needs a lick of paint or a couple of structural renovations, is that something you're going to be able to do down the line, or is that something you're interested in doing? These are considerations to make not only when you're buying your home right now, but what your home's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So ask your broker to help you. Let's move on to number 5. So you've got your loan organized. You found the place you want. Let's talk about making an offer and, more importantly, settling on your new home. So let's talk about number 5, which is getting ready for settlement. Before we really touch on settlement, however, I think it's crucial we talk about actually making an offer to buy a house. Now, you've got your loan, you're ready and that's secure. You've got the property that you're looking for, but now we need to talk about actually buying that place and what that entails. Traditionally, mortgage brokers only really touch on step 1 till 3 to this point. Now we've already helped you deciding on what to buy, but let's actually talk about making an offer and what we at the Property Education Company can do to help you here. Now, making an offer can be quite challenging for first time buyers and you're not quite sure what to do. Most properties around Australia sell for 5% less than their original asking price, and that's also dependent on the property. There have been some cases where they sell for 20% less than their original asking price. These are things our brokers can help you out decide where your initial asking price can be. You can always go up, but you can't always back down. Golden tip when it comes to making an offer is set the bar appropriately and set it low. Don't go too high initially because you may run yourself out of your ability to finance the place. There are 3 major things you need to know when it comes to signing a contract. First and foremost is having a building inspection and a pest inspection. These inspections are crucial so you know the building's actually up to standard. You also want access to a bank evaluation of the property. This valuation is an important step when it comes to finalizing your home loan when it comes to purchasing your property. And last but not least, you're not going to be spending money on the vendor's land tax. Make sure you have this in your condition of sale, that you're not going to be paying the vendor's land tax. And if you don't consider these 3 points, these can literally cost you thousands in the long run. Make sure these 3 things are absolutely in your contract to sale. So you've got your contract to sale and you've signed it. Congratulations, you've purchased your first home. So what happens from here? Now we're going to talk about settlement and what us at the Property Education Company can do to help guide you through this process. You're going to be sent a lot of documents at this stage and they can get quite confusing. Ask our brokers to guide you through the documents and actually understand what you're signing. It's important that you're very clear on your finances going forward. So remember that deposit we talked about in step 3. This is where your deposit's coming into play. Now, make sure your deposit's all in one place before the settlement. I don't want to see it in 3 separate accounts. I don't want you to be still pulling it out of your stocks accounts while you've got a bit of savings tucked over somewhere else. Have it all in one place and ready to go. Now you got your deposit all in one place. Now, let's not make the silly mistake that one person's made previously where they spent their deposit because they didn't think they needed it at this point. Your deposit's there to finish off your home purchase. Absolutely keep it there, ready to finalize. Last but not least, to finalize your mortgage, you're going to need a conveyancer. A conveyancer is going to be an intermediary between the vendor and yourself to finalize the purchase of your loan and help you work through the documentation to get to settlement. So the Property Education Company, we're going to take you all the way through step 1, which was borrowing capacity, all the way to settlement and handing off to your conveyancer. This is going to be the crucial part that we can help you with the entire way. Buying your first home, I know is confusing, but together we're going to get you into your home. So remember the 5 key steps we've talked about in this video. Your borrowing capacity, your government schemes, your deposit, what to actually buy and making decisions about that, and getting ready for settlement. This was a lot of information to cover in this video. So download our ebook, which breaks down each step in a bit more detail. And if you have questions, get in contact with one of our brokers. We're here to help. So we've got to the end of this video and I think some of you may still be confused, but don't feel bad. I went through this process and it was very confusing the first time round. So in the description below, we've got a complimentary ebook that you can use that will break down all these steps in a lot more detail. Once you've downloaded our ebook and you've read through it and you've got more questions, either get in contact with myself or one of our brokers. We are here to help and get you into your first home.